Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to number 3 of our videos of drawing through the Bible. As you recall, I've been using this book. It has drawings inside, and so we're going through the Bible doing lessons and drawing some pictures from it. Sometimes, a lot of the time, I use pictures from this book. Sometimes I add my own pictures. So today it's a little bit of both. And so, if you recall, we already did creation. We did the story of Adam and Eve in the garden and how they sinned and disobeyed God. And today we're going to do the story of Noah and the flood in Genesis. So hopefully you may already know that story. If you don't know that story, hopefully you'll enjoy going through it with me. Let me remind you that, as always, I'll use a sheet like this that's divided up into kind of squares or rectangles here. If you need some help getting your paper set up like this, ask your mom or your dad for some help. So before we start, you'll want to pause the video, go get a piece of paper ready. And so what I do is I number mine 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8 for your drawings. And we will have 7 drawings in today's lesson. So if you don't have your paper ready yet, go get one ready. And like I say each time, if I go really fast in my drawings and you can't keep up, just pause the video, draw at your own pace, and when you're ready, hit play again and join back up with me again. So I'm looking forward to going through the story of Noah and the flood with you today. Thank you for joining me. Let's get started. Okay, hopefully by now you have your piece of paper with your squares marked off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this week we're going to do 7 drawings, so we won't need your square number 8. And if you remember, each one of my pictures is going to be one of these squares. So we're going to start with our first one, which will be picture number 1. Now, if you remember from our last video, Adam and Eve sinned, which means they disobeyed God. And they did that in the Garden of Eden, and God sent them out of the garden never to return. And all of creation came under a curse because of their sin. Now after this, Adam and Eve had children, and those children had children, and those children had children, and on and on and on for many years, until there were many people living on the earth. But these people had rejected God, and they were constantly sinning against God. So let's draw a couple of people on here. We could draw a lot, but we'll just draw a couple of them. We'll make them real simple. Let's draw one person as a circle, and maybe we'll draw one person more like a U. And for this person over here, we're going to make a V for angry eyebrows. Let's give them a couple of eyes, a nose, and an upside down U, angry. And we can draw another one over here. Let's give this one a V also for angry eyes. Couple of eyes, nose, another angry mouth. And this one, let's do different hair. Let's do the letter M, long skinny M's. And if you want to, we can give them some ears. Ear, ear. Okay, we have angry people here who have rejected God, and they're constantly sinning against God. In fact, in Genesis chapter 6, the Bible tells us, the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intention of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. So since the earth was full of wicked people who were constantly sinning, God decided to send a great flood. And this flood would cover the entire earth with water in order to destroy these sinful people. But there was one man named Noah who still believed in God, and he obeyed God. And so God told Noah to build a huge boat called an ark. And God would use this ark to save Noah and his family, which included his wife and his 3 sons and their wives. So we're going to make a new picture. And this is going to be picture number 2. And in this picture, we're going to draw the ark. Now, we don't really know what the ark looked like, so I'm just going to make a guess in my drawing. But we do know how big it was because the Bible tells us it was very big. It was 450 feet long, it was 70 feet wide, and it was 45 feet high. So we're going to draw ourselves a boat. So what I want you to do is in about the middle of your square, draw a line, and then come in a little bit from your line, and then draw another one at the bottom. And then after you've made that bottom of the boat, you can draw a couple of little lines going up, and then draw another line across the top of that, but just barely past these 2 lines. And now we're going to draw a little roof. It's almost like an upside down one of these. And then maybe we'll give our ark some windows. The Bible says the ark did have windows. Now, I don't know if it was some kind of glass or maybe some kind of hole with a covering over it, but we're going to give ours windows. And so, as I said, the Bible said it was 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high, which this is about half of the size of the Titanic, if you've ever heard of that ship. So this is the size of a small cargo ship. Now, why did God tell Noah to make the ark so big for him and his family? Well, the reason is because God intended to save many animals as well. In fact, Noah was told by God to bring 2 of every kind of animal on the ark, a male and a female. And he was also told to bring some extras of some kinds of animals. And they also needed to bring food on the ark for all the animals and for Noah's family. So they needed a lot of room on this ark. Now, we're going to start drawing number 3. And remember I said God told Noah to bring 2 of every animal on the ark. So we're going to draw a couple of pairs of animals, and we're going to draw some really easy ones, I think. So I want you to draw towards the bottom 2 lines. And do a couple more at the top. Using this same shape, we're going to draw 2 different kinds of animals. So this should be easy using the same shape. So at the top here, we're going to make these into 2 turtles. So watch what I do. I'm just going to make a little head here with an eye coming out this edge of the shell. Little feet, maybe a little tail. And if you want to make some little lines on your turtle, you can make some little lines on its shell. And then we can make another turtle. These 2 can be friends looking at each other. Male and female. We'll give it a little tail, a little line. And there can be our 2 turtles. If you want to, you can even give your turtle a little mouth. Make it a happy turtle that it's getting on the ark. Now, for these bottom 2, same shape, but we're going to make something different this time. This time, I want you to put a dot at the tip. And then add an eye. And you can add some little whiskers. Couple little lines off the bottom, couple little lines off the top. And now right above the eye, let's make 2 loops. We can do it over here above the eye. 2 loops. And if I'm going too fast, you can pause the video and catch up with me. So we have 2 little mice. We can make a tail, kind of like an S, just the letter S. That could be our tail. We can make another one. And if you want, You can add some feet to your mouse. Maybe a couple little thick lines at the bottom. And if you don't, you can just leave the feet off and make it look like your mouse is sitting down. So here we have a male and a female mouse, a male and a female turtle, and that's what we would have if we draw all kinds of animals that were going on the ark. Now, the Bible says that once all of the animals and Noah and his family were all safely in the ark, God closed the door, and then it was time for the flood to begin. In fact, here, let me get a new piece of paper and then I'll tell you what happens. This is going to be picture number 4. And the Bible tells us that once Noah and his family and all the animals were on the ark, the Bible says all of the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of the heavens were opened, and rain fell upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. So first it says the fountains of the great deep burst forth. Well, I don't really know what that would look like, but we're going to pretend it looks, or guess maybe it looks like a geyser, if you've ever heard of a geyser. So I'm going to draw a line at the bottom of my page here, and we're going to draw the fountains of the great deep bursting open. So I'm going to draw maybe what would be kind of a hole there. And if you want to, you don't have to, but if you want to, you can even kind of make a jagged edge, kind of like the ground is cracking, like an earthquake, if you want to put a crack on the ground. But we're going to have a fountain, a geyser, bursting forward. So what I want to do is from this kind of hole here, I'm going to draw some lines coming up, maybe a little higher in the middle. And then we're going to just draw some little curvy things like a cloud. Almost kind of like you're making a tree. And that's going to be our geyser, our fountain bursting forth from the ground. If you want to add some water droplets, the rain's starting to come down, you can. If you want to add some spray coming off of this fountain, you can. However you want to do it. But now we've got a geyser bursting forth as the waters are starting to come up. And now we're going to need to talk about the rain that's coming down. So that's picture number 4 of the fountains of the great deep bursting forth. And then, drawing number 5. God allowed these fountains of water from below to burst open, and he allowed the rain to continue until the entire earth was covered with water. So I'm just going to make water. Deep water covering the whole earth. And I'm going to make raindrops. And before you fill up all of the top with rain, maybe we'll make a cloud up here, like a storm cloud. And we can even add some lightning. There was probably some pretty bad storm stuff going on here. So we can have lightning, we can have drops of rain falling from clouds up above this one, I guess. And so the water covered the earth for almost a year. But Noah and his family and the animals were safe inside the ark. Now, if you want to just let this be your picture, you can. If you want to draw the ark on the water, you can. Maybe it would look something like that. Maybe you would draw the ark into your picture. I drew one and so I could put there. So if you want to draw the ark in the water being safe from the storm, you can do that. Or you can just make it look like this, however you want your picture to look. And then God finally sent a strong wind on the earth to push back the waters. He brought the rain to an end. The waters covered the earth for almost a year, but finally God brought a strong wind to push back the waters, and the water finally started to go down, and the tops of the mountains could be seen. So I'm going to draw picture number 6. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a couple of mountains here, maybe tall hills. And we're going to have the water just come up to the edge of this hill here, this mountain. And let's draw the sun shining, helping to dry up the water. And so the story tells us that all the waters finally dried up. The water went down and dried up. And God told Noah and his family, maybe you can even put the ark sitting up here on the top of the mountain if you want to, where it's now drying out of the water. Finally, God told Noah and his family that it was safe for them to come out of the ark. And so Noah and his family came out of the ark, which brings us to our last drawing. Number 7. When Noah came out of the ark and his family, Noah gave thanks to God and he made an offering to God. And then God made a promise to Noah and to all generations to come after Noah. And that promise was that God said he would never again send a flood to cover the entire earth and to destroy all flesh. And God gave us a sign as a reminder of this promise, and this sign is the rainbow. So all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to draw a rainbow. You, I'm sure, already know how to draw a rainbow, so let's just make a simple one. I'll just make a little arc here, and another one above it, and another one above it, and I'll just keep going, one on top of the other. However big you want to make your rainbow. All right, and if you want to make it bigger, you can. If you want to come in and color each of these colors with a crayon or a colored pencil like a real rainbow would look, you can do that. And so God gave us this sign as a reminder of his promise. So whenever you see a rainbow in the sky, let it remind you of God's promise that he would never again flood the entire earth and wipe out all life. And God always keeps his promises, so you can be sure he will keep his promise whenever you see the rainbow.